I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com. 7 people hope to be on the Idaho Falls City Council, and they want you to elect them to that seat on November 3rd. There's 3 open seats, and we recently had all of the candidates here for a debate brought to you by Mountain Fresh Water Company. We invite you to share this debate and leave your comments on EastIdahoNews.com and on our Facebook page.
We'd like to welcome you to the first ever EastIdahoNews.com debate. And this is with the Idaho Falls City Council. We will be having 3 questions tonight. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to be able to answer. We'd like to introduce them to you. John Pendlebury, Dean Ellis, Dennis Emery, Michelle Ziel-Dingman, Evan Bastow, Tom Hally, and John Redford. Our first question comes from our Facebook page, EastIdahoNews.com, from Andrea Valapando Todd. She asks, many candidates talk about wasteful tax spending in the budget of the city of Idaho Falls. Where would these candidates look to cuttings? And I would add, would you be willing to raise taxes in the upcoming years? Our first will go to John Pendlebury.
There's lots of places we can look to cut taxes. The city is right. Some of the things I'd look to go to first is to incentivize our city experts, the people that run the city, to make recommendations to implement tax cuts. The incentive would be that they would be able to take 1/3 of the tax cut as a bonus, and the other 2/3 would go to the city. The idea was to keep the employees incentivized.
Thank you. All right, John Redford.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us, and it's a privilege to be here and to discuss the future of our city. And I'm very respectful of East Idaho News and all the work that you guys are doing. I have a good view of the budgetary matters, and what I see is a very well-run city with a legacy of leadership from our council that has been very positive financially. And, you know, we didn't have a levy increase for 10 years, and if you think that there's a lot of waste in the city after 10 years of no levy increases, I don't think you've looked at it close enough. I'm not someone who's in favor of raising taxes every year. I really feel like we could probably hopefully go next year without a levy increase, and hopefully we can rely on some growth because our economy's picking up, and then the cuts aren't so drastic. If there's cuts necessary, I kind of like the approach that the council's used before, and that's going to department heads and asking for 5% and letting them make some choices. They're the experts of their departments. With us as a council, maybe partnering with them and trying to find solutions for them. But we have talented individuals here in the city that work for us, and they can find some of these solutions along with our help.
Thank you. Dean Ellis.
Yes, thank you for allowing us to be here. As you all are aware, city taxes mainly are taken up by the public safety, fire, police, and some parks and rec. So those 3 areas are the ones that hit the city taxes the hardest. And being a division director for the City of Idaho Falls Fire Department for 12 years before I retired, I am fully aware that budget cuts were always asked for, and that it's hard to make them. I too feel like John that this city is run pretty well, that we haven't had any big tax increases for a long time. And what I would like to see is that we don't look for tax decreases for the levy, but we look at ways to keep it level and flat, and one of those is through the RDA. When that block development grant comes back to us, that will be some money back into the budget. So I would like to see the tax levy kept the same so that we can build a future savings for future projects in the city that we don't have to bond for, because the city has always been a pay-as-you-go, and I like that idea that we don't have to go out for bonds, we don't have to go to the people for elections to raise the bond money. And so I'm in favor of finding ways through the division directors, if there is possibilities, to make cuts, but we are run pretty well, I feel.
Thank you. Tom Hally.
Again, I'd like to thank you. I'm an incumbent running for the seat, and the question really resonates real well with me. The actual general fund property taxes is probably what we're talking about, and that represents about 25% of the budget, with the rest resting with enterprise funds. I would like to point out that in the budget we look for opportunities to decrease. We do this by making sure that some of our fees, user fees that are too low, low, that we raise them up so that the users are paying more. Parks and Rec and Fire and the police make up most of the budget from that category, and therefore we have to be careful on what we're doing. We're looking for opportunities to spend our money wisely. We want to keep the money used wisely for development and growth. The redevelopment agency has been talked about. We set aside some of the property tax into the redevelopment districts, and that is used and leveraged to inspire economic growth and development, and we've increased the value in those districts by over $225 million, and that will come back to the taxpayers when those districts expire. Thank you.
Dennis Emery.
Yes, I think the city, for the last couple of years, there has been tax increases. I don't know if some people have noticed that. But I think that there can be lowered, but first, before it should be looked at. And I don't think it should just take a glance. I think it should go through the whole budget and see exactly where everything goes. From what I understand, that last year, and I think this year, but I'm not sure yet, that the city spent about $200,000 trying to help the Civic Auditorium. And so I know that if it was okay, there sure wouldn't be any tax increases. And like I said, the first thing would be to take a big look at all the expenditures, but I'm not in favor of cutting the police or the fire right now.
Thank you. Evan Bastow.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity also to be here and to be a part of this forum and discussion tonight. Grateful for the opportunity to have the potential to make a difference here in the city of Idaho Falls. As far as taxes go, I think that's one of the key areas that we need to look at. Taxes are high in Idaho Falls. Whether we believe it or not, they're high. We have businesses that have chosen to locate out in other communities and out in the county, and so we need to look at that and decide how we can go about our budgeting process so we don't have to raise taxes. We need to look at opportunities that are available to us to tighten our belt. When a business has a downturn or the economy turns down, they tighten their belts, and that's what we need to do, is look at opportunities to do that. Now, saying that doesn't mean that we're going to have to cut back on our quality of life. We just need to be creative about that. I feel like if we do a line-by-line review of the budget, we'll find areas where we can cut and save. You know, there's an collegiate track star, Kyle Perry, who wanted to run below the mile, and he needed to cut his time by 5 seconds. He couldn't come up with one thing, but he came up with 10 small things where he could cut a half a second off, and he was able to be one of those less than 400 in the United States that could run the mile. And I think that's what we need to do in our city, is look at things line by line and be able to come up with those small changes that will tweak our budget.
Thank you. And Michelle Ziel-Dingman.
Well, Idaho Falls is ran by a priority-based budget, and with that, not having a strategic plan for the city, I think has caused some hurdles. I've met with many of the division directors, and there is no long-term plan for many of those divisions. I do not support raising taxes as a way of funding special projects. What we need to do is use our individual skills and abilities to partner with those division directors to help that line-by-line budget cutting. For example, my background is in marketing and communications. Many of the citizens review committees have stated that we have communication issues, and which can lead to some issues. And I think that being able to partner with our division directors and not see them as the enemy, not a slash and dash strategy, but actually partnering with them to find those areas to cut. And I truly believe that if we have a strategic plan in place, we can find those items that we're paying for that don't necessarily fit into the priorities of our city. Thank you.
All right, the second question will begin with Michelle Ziel-Dingman. Everyone talks about bringing good, high-paying jobs into the city. What are you willing to do, and how far are you willing to go to attract them?
It's a great question. My background in marketing has brought me to a lot of real estate positions. So I've worked for Snake River Landing and Ball Ventures, Grand Teton Mall and General Growth Properties. And so I'm very familiar with the development community here. And those guys are the key to bringing the very large organizations that provide well-paying jobs. And what we have to do is create a better plan to communicate with those organizations and those businesses as to why they would want to expand or move or grow their business in Idaho Falls. I believe this is something that I can really use my professional background to implement. We've currently hired an economic development person within the mayor's office, and I think that that person needs some additional direction from the city council to best market and communicate about why a business would want to move to the city. And I look forward to being a part of that plan.
Evan.
You know, this is an important question because as Idaho Falls grows, our tax base will level out. The businesses take the biggest brunt of the taxes from property taxes from us. Maybe not as the total amount, but the amount that they pay individually. As I went to the budget hearing that they had for this year's budget, there were many businesses that showed up from downtown, and they pled with our city council not to raise their taxes. They were struggling and having a hard time, and so we need to consider what can we do beyond what we're doing right now. Right now, we're doing a great job in our urban renewal districts. We're attracting businesses there because we're able to offer a lot of incentives and opportunities and programs there. But we need to look beyond that. That's one area where we're doing a great job. What can we do for small businesses? You know, over half the people in the United States work for what's classified as a small business. What can we do to help them to expand and dream and be able to look at opportunities that they can grow? We need to consider that. I'm excited about the new director that's here with the Regional Development Alliance that just has been grown together and started, and with the other counties in the area. Regional development is what it's about. It doesn't necessarily all focus on Idaho Falls. We all benefit as we grow the region, and I think that that's what we need to look forward to. Thanks.
Thank you. Dennis.
Yes, I would like to see the downtown developed more. And I think they're starting to try to do that. I know there's been Downtown Development Corporation has been around and is trying to do some things. But I have a real strange idea, but it's not practical right now. But I understand that it is possible. And that is to have a dome, you know, that goes over and comes back for downtown and make downtown like into a mall and in city things. And if I think that happened, that would really start to get more people in and also attract more tourists, because I think the biggest thing is to attract a tourist. And I know several terms ago, a mayor decided to try to do that, you know, where the site's been downgraded. And so that's the way I would handle it.
Thank you. Tom.
Yes, this is an important issue with the campaign, and I'd like to highlight the fact that the INL is looking at adding 532 jobs. I just left a meeting where they gave a presentation, and they are extremely happy with the city partnerships in vital areas, including electrical power. It's important to realize that our electrical rates, our water rates, and our sewer rates are an incentive, but the real reason is the community. The community is a great place to live. I'm happy to announce that the economic activity in Idaho Falls has increased. The building permits and the commercial building is moving ahead fast. And on the Hit Road, we talk about Hit Road on the Idaho Falls side. It's practically planned and ready to build all the way on Hit Road. So I think economic activity is on the increase. Jobs are increasing. Science tech came in here, and those jobs are in the $50,000 to $80,000 to $90,000 range. When those companies do well, little businesses move in and thrive. And yes, property taxes are hard to take, but you know, you get what you pay for, and the community is vibrant and thriving.
Dean.
Thank you. Yeah, I think to bring in good high-paying jobs, we need to look at Idaho Falls as a regional hub, which we are. We probably service over 250,000 people that come here for shopping, and so we need to look at that as a way to get other businesses in here to bring their companies here. I think we need to contact these bigger companies and say, what do you look for when you want to build a business in a city? What are the things that you are looking for? What are important for your employees? Because I think that's what big businesses look at. They want stable employees that will be there for the long term. And to get stable employees, you have to have a community that has something to offer them. And I think Idaho Falls does that. We are a great community. There's a lot to offer, but we could offer a lot more. So just reaching out to big businesses and finding out what it takes to get them into our city.
John.
All right. Well, I appreciate this question because it aligns with the strengths that I feel I have that I can bring to the city. First and foremost, I have an MBA, and I think that has trained me to really look at the realities of business and business owners. But secondly, I have the opportunity to manage a major retail outlet in the Grand Teton Mall. I manage the Barnes & Noble bookstore. And if I have the opportunity to meet with the Costco execs or the people that are coming to our city, I can have a real impact because I've dealt with these customers for the last 10 years. I know what our demographics look like. But, you know, retail development is great, but what we need for jobs and growing jobs is being able to find a way to make not ourselves just a hub, but a synthesis of different groups that will use us as a basis so that they can collaborate together and grow an economic grouping. And I think of these groupings in three things that we have strengths in. Number one, outdoor recreation. Bringing outdoor recreation manufacturing companies here to Idaho Falls together that corresponds with our great outdoor beauty and our great opportunities for outdoor sports. We have an amazing hydroelectric energy advantage here, and we can attract businesses just with that. Things like server hubs from people like Google and Amazon, which would bring great paying jobs. But we also have these highly skilled laborers from the INL, and we're grateful for those great, highly educated people that we could build on with these great industries.
Thank you. And John.
I think it's pretty easy to see who's conservative and who's liberal here. I believe that when we look at our city and the county and bring in outside businesses, they're going to locate in the areas where they have the greatest economic advantage. The quality of life is the same. They're going to be able to use Idaho Falls, the parks, the recreation, the zoo, as much as the individuals that live in Idaho Falls. We need to bring the cost of our taxes down to where we can compete for those businesses to locate within the Idaho Falls boundary. And we've got to fill up and do something with the neighborhoods right now that are crumbling. You walk around some of our more established neighborhoods, and on every block there's 4 or 5 houses that are empty. We've got to do something to bring that to a halt.
Thank you. All right, this will be our third and last question. John, we will start again with you on this one. Several candidates and city residents have encouraged more walking and biking paths, as well as more city parks. How many more are needed, and how will we pay for those?
I feel that the budget that's been passed, I refer to it as a yuppie budget. We've got things that are great for a middle group of citizens, but we've ignored our younger citizens, say up to the age of 18, and we ignore our seniors. We've got to do things to our parks and recreation to be able to include those seniors. Case in point, you look at our zoo and you look at Toffus Park, it's hard for a person in a wheelchair to get around that park. It's all meant for the yuppies. It's great for a picnic, great for baseball players, but it's not right for all of our citizens.
Thank you. John?
That's a fantastic question, because connecting our communities plan has already been done, and it was with great work from our city leaders. We had 1,500 people respond and created this tremendous plan. And the first phase is almost complete with the correction of the width of the Greenbelt walking paths. It's been and it was paid for largely with grants from ITD and other agencies that were wanting to invest in our cities and our parks. And the truth is, there is so much more we can do. Making 4th and 6th Streets bike eligible so that we can get lanes that are open for bikes so that they can lead in from Ammon into our downtown, into the Greenbelt. We can use the canals from Iona to Toffus Park, where I have the privilege to live right next to Toffus Park, and use those easements that are on the canal banks as paths. And it's very inexpensive because we're using property that's already owned. And the other thing that I'm excited about is the park that was donated, the new Heritage Park at the base by Sunnyside. It's just going to be a tremendous asset to our city. And then we have a future with the Toffus Park. We need to have a 50-year plan of how we can benefit the zoo and how we're going to use Toffus Park. And I'm excited to kind of be part of the voice of the future of that. And what a great community we have because of our parks and shared spaces.
Thank you. Dean?
Thank you. Yes, walking and biking paths I think are pretty important here in Idaho Falls. We want to attract people that generally like to do those kind of things. Elderly, middle-aged, young, so forth. So I think it's important that we work hard on that, connecting our community pathways. As John says, that the first stage has been done, and it's been done well. We have great parks in the city, Toffus Park, a new park that Stafford Smith donated land for. We have many ways to enlarge the park area in Idaho Falls. What I would like to see is the city of Idaho Falls, the younger residents with young kids, not have to go clear up to Rexburg for a splash park. And so I think Toffus Park would be a good place for that. There was talk of that being down by the river, which I didn't think was a very good place for little kids to be running around in the splash park and then being close by the river. But I think with Mr. Wetzel at the helm of the Parks and Recreation Department, he's turned around the golf courses and made them profitable. I think he has a plan for the Parks and Recreation Department to go forward in the near future, and I'd like to be a part of that.
Tom?
Well, I want you to know that I'm the head liaison with Parks and Rec and was involved in the development of the Pathways Connectivity Plan. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to get all citizens, the elderly, the young, the millennials, everybody involved in connecting activity and walking paths. John, by the way, as we speak today, we are widening the paths along the river with grants on both sides of the river to 12 to 14 feet because you're right, it was too crowded. I'm very proud of the fact that at Ryder Park, with grants, with donations from Fish and Game, we've provided a beautiful park setting and a natural setting, and where people in wheelchairs are able to fish the year round. And Fish and Game wants to develop another pond there. And it's already been mentioned that Stafford Smith has donated 9 point something acres of land, about $2 million worth of land, and a committee's been set up, which he is a part of, to implement a beautiful park along that connectivity, and it's going to be a great asset. But it is going to take some tax dollars. You pay for what you get. I don't want to return the land to him. I want to develop the land. Thank you.
Dennis?
My personal opinion is that the city should encourage, excuse me, the parks, the walks, and the zoo and everything. But as much as I would like all those things, I think the impetus should come from grants and from individuals and organizations. And so more power to it that it comes, but I really don't want the city to get so involved in it that the city could go broke. And I think that's about all I have to say on it.
Thank you. Evan?
You know, Idaho Falls is a great place. We have beautiful parks and paths and walkways. You know, we have this strategic plan that's been put in place for that, and the connecting of our community with these trails and paths. You know, one thing we need to consider is we live in a climate where we can use those for 4 to 6 months of the year, and we have 6 months of the year when we can't too. We need to put it into perspective of what it is also. This is an area where we're never going to be able to have it pay for itself. I don't think we'll ever have a fee that will charge you to go use the green belt. That would be impractical. And so it's an area where we're going to have some creative thinking. We've done that in the past. Our Rotary Club duck race brings in lots of money each year, and then that's matched up with some grants. And so that's helped make part of these things possible. We've had these partnerships with private owners. With Stafford we've mentioned, and the others as we get closer into town with Snake River Landing and the other areas there. These private partnerships with the city help make these things possible. I'm excited about the continuing of this area, but we also need to put into perspective that we have to start our budget from the things that are required first and then work down to the areas where we have these wants that we have, and so we need to take that type of an approach.
Thank you. And Michelle?
Well, I think our amenities, including our parks and walking paths, are an important part of why residents choose to locate in Idaho Falls and why businesses come here. Right now, home sales in Idaho Falls are up 22% year to date over last year. And individuals and families are moving here because we have those amenities at hand. I absolutely support our Connecting Our Pathways plan. I moved to the city of Idaho Falls so I could live near bike lanes. Is that something that's important to me and my family and extended family? But I think that going forward, we have to look at our priorities in the city with certainly public amenities and affordable recreation available to us as part of that plan, but make sure that we are planning our budgets in such a way that we have those maintenance costs and the long-term plan in mind. I want to see the city continue to partner with private organizations, residents, and grant opportunities to extend those amenities as long as we continue to make it affordable for our residents.
That will conclude our questions. We'll now give you each 60 seconds to give a closing statement. We'll begin once again with Michelle Ziel-Dingman.
Well, currently I am the CEO of a small business in Idaho Falls, and I've spent my entire career partnering with developers and other small businesses to grow our community. I've spent over 7 years with the Greater Idaho Falls Chamber of Commerce as a volunteer and as an ambassador. I've served as not only chair of the Chamber Ambassadors, but also vice chair to the board of directors for programs and events. And I feel like I have a very good sense of what the business community is looking for from the Idaho Falls City Council. I hope to bring my skills and abilities in marketing, communication, and budgeting to the city to the benefit of our residents. Thank you.
Evan Bastow.
Well, Mark, I appreciate this opportunity to meet tonight and discuss these topics. I appreciate Eastern Idaho News offering this to us and making this available on the internet so people will be able to see this and be a participator in this even though they weren't able to be here today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to present myself as a candidate for the seat 3 on the City Council. It would be a sacred trust to me to be able to be voted into that position, to use the tax dollars wisely, be conservative in the spending that we have. I think we need some fresh eyes and some fresh ideas on how to do that, and I know that I can offer that and bring that to the table.
Thank you. Dennis Emery.
Yes, I'd like to thank everybody for allowing us to talk here tonight. And I'd like to explain that I'm not for change. It's like that. It doesn't amount to much. What I'm for is new approaches. And one of the things that I do think needs to be necessary is term limits. And also I think it needs to be council seats by population. We're 60,000 people now, And I don't think it needs to be like 3 or 4 people in one block, which has happened in the past. And then I would like to see a celebration for the family once a year, probably a couple of days. I think the family is one of the most important things around, and it needs to be looked at better. And last, I want to see, excuse me, people treated like a name and not a number. Excuse me.
Tom Hally.
It's been an honor to serve the citizens of Idaho Falls for 12 years. All of the council members, besides myself, that'll be on the new council, will be under 2 years. So I think my leadership and experience will help them. Looking at the city, I want Idaho Falls to thrive. I mean, we have done some cost cutting. $300,000 off of workmen's compensation benefits. Look at the savings that we've had on the golf course, $200,000. We're building and going ahead. Look at our Parks and Recreation Department. Since 2011, $2.5 million in grants that have saved the general fund. As we move forward, I look forward to the opportunity to thrust Idaho Falls forward with growth. We saved $1.4 million on Hit Road on the First Street area. Thank you, and I want to continue to develop.
Thank you. Dean Ellis.
Thank you. I've been a longtime resident of Idaho Falls. I grew up here. I wasn't born here, but I've lived here for 56 years. I've raised my 4 children here. Now my children are raising my grandchildren here, and I appreciate the town that we live in, the city that we live in, the safety that we have, the public safety, the parks and recs that we have for the kids to play in. I was fire chief for 12 years, retired from the fire department a year ago last May after 30 years of service. And as I stated, the last 12 as fire chief. I've attended council meetings for those 12 years. That was part of our responsibility as a division director, is to attend council meetings. I'm familiar with the inner workings of the city government, and I have a good grasp on budgeting. I handled 3 budgets that totaled probably about $14 million with the ambulance, fire, and contracting with fire district. I just want to serve the public, pay back to the city of Idaho Falls for what they gave me, and that was a job for 30 years, and I appreciate it.
John Radford.
Hi, I'm grateful for this opportunity to run for the city council and to serve the city that I love. I grew up here. It was the seedbed of my values and how I have progressed in my life. And I'm grateful that we have a city that values these green spaces where I was able to spend time with my family. I was able to have these spaces where I could become more whole. Now, the first thing that I will always have as my priority is our first responders. It's just so important that we support our police and firemen, because that's why we've banded together as a community. I will continue the sound financial principles of this city. I will make sure that we embrace and expand our energy advantage, and I want to put to work my business experience and my expertise with my MBA to help the city continue to grow and expand, and I'm grateful for this opportunity.
John Pendlebury.
I thank you for this opportunity we have of coming together, discussing our different views. My view is just a little bit different. I think I bring maturity and experience, and I would bring these to the city council. I am a retired nuclear engineer. I have been training engineers and operators at nuclear power plants, but now I'm retired. I want to give back to the city that I love. I love my God. I serve him every day. I love my wife of 47 years. I love my 5 kids, their spouses, and my 14 grandchildren. And I want them to live in Idaho Falls. I love my country. I spent 7 years in the Navy on board a nuclear submarine. And I love Idaho Falls and would love to have an opportunity to serve.
We'd like to thank the candidates for being here and being a part of this tonight. We'd like to thank EastIdahoNews.com in sponsoring this, and want to remind everyone, please get out and vote.
Again, this debate was brought to you by Mountain Fresh Water Company. We invite you to share it with your friends on Facebook. Also, leave your comments on the EastIdahoNews.com Facebook page and on our website. I'm Nate Eaton. Thank you for watching.